Just one night with me, feed my daughter, she bargained, but the man gave them a home instead. The trade station Helios 9 never slept. It floated in open space between three minor star routes, always busy, always loud. Cargo drones moved like insects between docks. Voices in 100 languages filled the air, mixing with machine sounds and station alerts. For most travelers, Helios 9 was just a place to refuel, trade, and leave. For Lyra, it was the last place she had left. She stood near the edge of the public concourse, holding her daughter close. The child was light in her arms, too light. Lyra could feel every bone through the thin fabric of the girl's clothing. The child's breathing was shallow, slow, and tired. Lyra had already sold everything she owned. Her tools, her keepsakes, her last emergency rations, nothing was left. Around her, people walked past without stopping. Some were alien like her, others mechanical, others human. Most avoided her eyes. Desperation was something people learned to look away from quickly. Lyra adjusted her grip on her daughter and forced herself to stay standing. In her species, culture, letting a child starve was worse than death. It was a failure that followed the soul forever. She would not allow that, not today. At the far end of the concourse was a human-operated logistics desk. A simple sign above it read, "Supply allocation, human authority." Humans were strange. Everyone knew that. Their laws were confusing, their customs soft in some places and unbreakable in others. But they were also known for something rare in the galaxy. They sometimes helped without asking what they would get back. Lyra had waited there for almost 2 hours, watching. Humans came and went, traders, crew members, dock workers. Finally, one remained behind the desk alone. He was tall, with dark hair and tired eyes. His uniform was plain, worn, but clean. His name badge read, E. Carter, Quartermaster. He was typing on a screen when Lyra approached. Her translator pulsed gently against her neck. It was old, damaged, but still working mostly. She stepped forward. "Human," she said softly. He looked up. For a moment, his eyes flicked to the child in her arms. His posture changed slightly. He straightened, attention fully on them. "Yes," he said. Lyra swallowed. Her throat felt dry, tight. "I need food," she said. "For my daughter." The human nodded slowly. "Station food services are down the hall. Emergency rations require authorization." "I do not have credits," Lyra said quickly. "I will pay." "With what?" he asked, not unkindly. Lyra hesitated. This was the moment. In her culture, when life was at risk, honor allowed a person to offer bond service, a sacred promise of labor and shared responsibility. The phrase, when translated directly, meant something different in most languages. But she had no better words. She lowered her head. "Just one night with me," she said. "Feed my daughter, I will repay the debt." The translator hesitated, then translated. The human froze. Around them, the noise of the station seemed to fade. His expression did not change much, but something hard entered his eyes, not anger, but something colder. "No," he said firmly. Lyra's heart dropped. She had expected refusal, but she had not expected the way nearby beings suddenly turned to look at them. Whispers moved through the concourse. Some faces showed shock, others showed knowing smiles. The human stood. "Stop," he said, raising one hand not at her but at the onlookers. "This conversation is done." Lyra tightened her hold on her daughter. "I did not mean," she began, panic rising. "I know," he said quietly. She blinked. "You know?" she asked. He stepped around the desk, kneeling slightly so he was at eye level with her, not towering over her. His voice lowered. "Your translator is broken," he said. "And your species uses honor phrases humans don't." Lyra stared at him. "You are not angry?" she asked. He shook his head. "No, but I'm not accepting any kind of bargain like that." She bowed her head deeply, shame burning through her chest. "Then my daughter will." "No," he interrupted. "She won't." He reached into a storage unit behind the desk and pulled out a sealed nutrition pack, then another, and another. He handed them to her. Lyra hesitated, stunned. "These are human emergency rations," he said. "Balanced. Safe for most carbon-based species." "But the debt," she whispered. "I must." "There is no debt," he said. Her translator struggled with the phrase. It repeated it twice, uncertain. "No debt?" she asked. "Food is not a contract," the human said. "Especially when a kid is involved." The child stirred slightly, sensing warmth, movement. Her small eyes opened, dull but curious. Lyra's breath shook. "I cannot accept without repayment," she said. "My honor." "Your honor is keeping your kid alive," he replied simply. He stood and tapped a code into his console. Temporary shelter authorization, he muttered. Medical access, food allotment there. He looked back at her. You and your daughter can stay in Section C, clean beds, real meals, no charge. Lyra's legs felt weak. You do not know me, she said. I know enough, he answered. Around them, the whispers grew louder. Some aliens looked offended, others confused. A few humans nearby watched with quiet approval. One alien trader hissed softly to another. He breaks the chain, it said. No debt collected. The human heard it. He looked up calm but firm. Yeah, he said, that's the point. Lyra's eyes filled with tears she could no longer stop. Why, she asked. The human paused. Because, he said, helping someone shouldn't cost them their dignity. He handed her a small access chip. Come on, he said. Let's get your kid fed. As they walked away, Lyra looked down at her daughter, who was already holding a ration pack with weak but eager hands. For the first time in many cycles, Lyra felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. And behind them, the station kept watching. Because somewhere in the galaxy, a human had just broken a rule everyone else believed was unbreakable. The shelter in Section C was quiet. Too quiet, Lyra thought. The room was small but clean. The walls were white, smooth, and warm to the touch. A soft light glowed from the ceiling, not bright enough to hurt tired eyes. Two simple beds rested against the far wall. A water unit hummed gently in the corner. Lyra stood near the door, unsure if she was allowed to move. Her daughter sat on the lower bed, holding a nutrition pack with both hands. The child stared at it as if it might disappear. It's real, Lyra whispered. You can eat. The girl tore open the seal with weak fingers and drank slowly. Color returned to her skin almost immediately. Her breathing deepened. She leaned back against the pillow with a small sigh. Warmth filled Lyra's chest, and fear followed right after. Nothing in her life had ever come without cost. She turned as the door slid open again. The human Carter stepped inside, holding a small medical scanner. I'm not a doctor, he said, seeing her tense. Just checking vitals, she nodded stiffly. He scanned the child carefully, moving slowly, speaking calmly. The device beeped softly. She's malnourished, he said, but not beyond recovery. You came in time. Lyra's legs nearly gave out. You mean she will live? She asked. He looked at her. Yes. The word echoed in her mind. Live. Carter placed the scanner away and straightened. There's a shared food hall nearby. Human run, no questions asked. You can go there 3 times a day. And payment? Lyra asked quietly. No payment. Her shoulders slumped. I do not understand humans, he smiled faintly. That makes 2 of us. When he left, Lyra sat beside her daughter and watched her sleep. The child's small chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm. Lyra pressed her forehead to the bed. She had accepted aid without repayment. In her culture, this was dangerous. Word spread quickly. Helios 9 was a place built on exchange. Every favor had a price. Every kindness was tracked. What Carter had done went against centuries of galactic behavior. By the next cycle, people were watching Section C. Lyra felt their eyes as she walked the halls. Some aliens looked curious. Others looked angry. A few looked afraid. At the food hall, she heard whispers. She offered bond service, one voice said. And the human refused, another replied. He gave shelter instead. In her mind, old teachings echoed. A debt unpaid becomes a shadow. A shadow invites punishment. She stood quietly and left the room. Carter was at the logistics desk again, reading reports. He looked up as she approached. You should be resting, he said. I must speak, she replied. He gestured to a chair. Go on, she sat stiffly. You fed my child, she said. You gave shelter, medical care. Yes, you refuse payment. Yes, her voice trembled. You place me in danger, he frowned. How? In my culture, she said, owing without repayment marks a person as unstable. Others may claim my debt. They may say I belong to the station or to you. That won't happen, Carter said. You cannot promise that, she replied. You do not know our laws. He leaned back, thinking. You want to work, he said slowly. Yes, she said quickly. I will clean, repair, carry anything. Not because you owe me, he said, but because you want to, she nodded. Yes, he typed on his console. Temporary employment, he said. Station maintenance, paid in credits, enough to cover food and housing later. Her eyes widened. Paid? Yes, she stared at him. You create debt in my favor, she asked, confused. He smiled. It's called a job. Her translator struggled again. A job, she repeated. Yes. Humans do them all the time, she bowed deeply. I will not fail, she said. I believe you, he replied. Lyra worked harder than anyone. She cleaned corridors until her hands ached. She repaired small systems under guidance. She learned human schedules, human safety rules, human strange habits. Humans thanked her. That alone felt unreal. Her daughter grew stronger every day. She laughed again. She ran through the shelter halls, her steps light and fast. Other residents noticed. A few approached Lyra quietly. "You were offered food without cost," one alien said. "Is it true?" "Yes," Lyra replied. "You were not claimed," another asked. "No." Confusion spread like fire. Soon, a notice appeared across the station. Trade Council Review Human AID Practices Under Investigation. Carter read it without surprise. "They were going to come eventually," he said. Lyra felt cold fear twist her stomach. "Will they take my child?" she asked. "No," he said firmly. "They may take me," she whispered. He looked at her seriously. "You're under human jurisdiction now." "That means nothing to them," she said. He tapped the screen. "It does to me." The council chamber was large and cold. Representatives from 12 species floated, stood, or sat in assigned spaces. Lyra stood at the back, holding her daughter's hand. Carter stood alone at the center. "You violated exchange law," said one counselor. "Aid was given without extraction." "I fed a kid," Carter replied. "Intent is irrelevant," another said. "Your actions encourage dependency." Carter nodded. "Only if you think hunger is motivation," murmurs spread. "You disrupt balance," a third voice said. "Debt ensures order." Carter looked around the chamber. "No," he said calmly. "Debt ensures control." Silence followed. Lyra's daughter squeezed her hand. Carter continued. "I didn't buy loyalty, I didn't claim ownership, I didn't bind anyone, I stabilized a family." "You set precedent," the council warned. "Yes," Carter agreed. "A better one." A screen lit up behind him, charts, numbers, data. "Stations with human aid programs show reduced crime, increased trade, and long-term cooperation," Carter said. "Turns out people work better when they aren't desperate." The council shifted uneasily. Lyra felt something rise inside her, pride. She stepped forward before fear could stop her. "I speak," she said. The chamber paused. She bowed. "I was starving," she said simply. "My child was dying. I offered what my culture allows." She looked at the council. "The human gave food, shelter, work." She straightened. "I now repay society not from fear, but from choice." The chamber went silent. The council withdrew. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the lead counselor returned. "Case closed," it said stiffly. "No violation recorded." Relief crashed over Lyra like a wave. Carter exhaled slowly. As they left the chamber, whispers followed them, but they sounded different now. Curious, thoughtful, watching because something had changed. And the station would never look at humans the same way again. Helios 9 was changing, not loudly, not all at once, but in small ways that were impossible to ignore. Lyra noticed it first in the food hall. Before, people ate quickly and left. No talking, no eye contact. Food was something to be guarded. A meal meant survival, not comfort. Now humans sat at long tables, speaking freely, laughing, sharing extra portions without checking balance screens first. And slowly, others joined them. A tall avian trader hesitated before sitting near a human engineer. A scaled dock worker accepted a cup of warm drink offered without trade. A mechanical courier paused to watch, processors clearly confused. Lyra served meals that cycle. It was part of her new job rotation. She moved carefully, aware of the eyes on her back. Some were curious, some were angry, some were afraid. "You started this," a voice hissed softly behind her. She turned. It was Krex, a broker from a debt-bound species. His kind believed unpaid debts were worse than crimes. "I did nothing," Lyra replied calmly. "You broke the chain," Krex said. "You accepted aid without repayment." "I work," she said. "I contribute." "Choice is unstable," Krex replied. "Fear is reliable." Lyra did not answer. She did not need to, because a human voice cut in. "She's doing fine," Carter said, stepping beside her. "Better than fine," Krex's eyes narrowed. "Your kindness spreads like infection, human." Carter smiled slightly. "Funny, looks more like recovery to me." Krex walked away, his steps sharp and fast. Lyra exhaled slowly. "You should be careful," she said quietly to Carter. "You make enemies." "I already had them," he replied. "I just stopped pretending they were rules." Not everyone was pleased. Within cycles, reports began to reach the Trade Council. Aliens refusing exploit contracts. Workers demanding pay instead of debt clearing. Families asking for shelter instead of surrender. All traced back to one phrase spreading across the station. Human-style assistance. The council called it dangerous. Other stations watched closely. Carter received warnings, first politely, then formally, then quietly threatening. One night he sat alone in his office, staring at a message glowing on the screen. Advisory, Human Quartermaster Carter, limit AID programs or face removal. He leaned back, rubbing his eyes. You should stop, a voice said from the doorway. Lyra stood there holding a data pad. You're not authorized in here, he said lightly. I know, she replied. I learned from humans, he smiled tiredly. What's wrong? She stepped inside and closed the door. They will punish you, she said, not directly but slowly. I know. Why continue? She asked. You could transfer, leave, he looked at her. Because it works, he said, and because now they can't say they didn't know, she hesitated. In my culture, she said slowly, those who change systems are crushed first. Yeah, he said. Same in ours, she studied him. You are afraid, she said. He nodded. Of course. Then why do you smile? Because fear doesn't decide what I do, he answered. Something settled in Lyra's chest, something strong. Her daughter, Myra, was changing too. She ran faster now. Spoke more words, asked questions that made Lyra stop and think. Why did they not help before? Myra asked one day. Lyra paused. Because they were taught not to, she said. Who taught them? Myra asked. Fear, Lyra replied. Myra frowned. Fear is a bad teacher, Lyra smiled. Humans say that too, Myra thought for a moment. I want to learn like humans, she said. Lyra felt tears sting her eyes. The first real test came quietly. A cargo ship docked late cycle. Its crew was not registered with the station council. Refugees, exhausted, hungry. Under station law, unregistered crews could be denied service. The old rules would have turned them away. A human dock worker brought them to Carter. They won't make it another cycle, he said. Kids on board. Carter looked at the logs, then he closed them. Open Section D, he said. That's not approved, the worker replied. Neither was feeding Lyra's kid, Carter said. The doors opened, shelter was given, food distributed, medical scans run. By morning, half the station knew. By afternoon, the council demanded explanation. This is rebellion, one counselor snapped during the call. This is logistics, Carter replied. Dead people don't trade. You undermine authority, another said. You outsource morality, Carter answered. The call ended without resolution. That night, Carter received notice of suspension pending review. Lyra read it over his shoulder. They remove you, she whispered. Temporarily, he said. Maybe permanently, her hands clenched. This is my fault, she said. No, he replied firmly. You're the proof. Without Carter, the station slowed. Humans continued helping, but more carefully. Aliens watched, uncertain. Then something unexpected happened. A non-human station manager reopened a shelter wing. Quietly. A trader offered free meals to dock workers. A medical unit treated children without checking debt tags. No announcements, no speeches, just actions. The council noticed. Panic followed because control was slipping, and control had always depended on desperation. Lyra was called before the council alone, no Carter. No humans beside her. You are the source, the lead counselor said. Your case began this. I was starving, Lyra replied simply. You accepted forbidden aid. I accepted survival. You spread dangerous ideas. I spread hope, she said. The chamber hummed with agitation. You think choice is superior to obligation? One demanded. Yes, Lyra said. Why? She thought of Myra, of Carter, of the shelter halls filled with laughter. Because people who choose to help longer, she said. Silence followed. You would dismantle centuries of balance, the council warned. No, Lyra replied, only the cruelty. They dismissed her without judgment. That scared her more than punishment. That night, Myra slept peacefully. Lyra sat beside her, watching her breathe. For the first time, Lyra understood something humans carried quietly. Change was never clean. Kindness was never safe. But once seen, it could not be unseen. Across Helios 9, lights dimmed and brightened as systems adjusted. And far beyond the station, data streams carried stories. Of humans who fed without binding. Of aliens who worked without fear. Of a galaxy beginning to ask a dangerous question. What if survival did not require suffering? And somewhere waiting, the answer was forming. The Trade Council did not forgive. They waited. Fear worked best when it was slow. Helios 9 felt different now. The station was quieter but not calmer. Conversations stopped when officials passed. Doors closed faster. Data terminals blinked with new restrictions. Aid limits. shelter caps, food distribution audits. Nothing was banned outright, but everything was harder. Lyra felt it every day. The food hall lines were longer, the portions smaller. Workers were told to verify need again. The old words returned, prove you deserve to live. Myra noticed too. Why are people sad again? She asked. Lyra did not answer right away. Because fear is trying to come back, she said finally. Myra frowned. Then tell it to go away. Lyra smiled sadly. If only it listened to children. Carter was still suspended. His desk was empty, his console dark. Lyra passed it every day on her way to work. The station felt wrong without him. Humans still helped, but carefully, quietly. They checked cameras, they avoided reports. Fear was doing its job. One cycle, Lyra was called to Section D, the refugee wing. A council inspector stood at the entrance, tall and sharp-eyed. These residents exceed approved numbers, the inspector said. They must be relocated. They have nowhere to go, Lyra replied. That is not the station's concern. They will die, Lyra said simply. The inspector paused. That word is not relevant to policy. Lyra felt something snap. Then your policy is broken, she said. The inspector turned slowly. You forget your place. Lyra looked around. Families, children, workers, humans, aliens, all watching her. No, she said quietly, I remember it. The inspector raised a hand. Remove them. No one moved. A human dock worker stepped forward. No, he said. Another followed. Not today. A third. You want them gone, she said. You move them. The inspector's face tightened. This is insubordination. Lyra stepped forward, heart pounding. This is community, she said. The inspector left. That night, Lyra could not sleep. She sat at the small table in their shelter room, staring at nothing. She was afraid, not for herself, for Myra, for everyone who had trusted her words. A soft knock came at the door. She opened it. Carter stood there. You're back, she whispered. Temporarily, he said. Long enough, she pulled him inside. They're pushing harder, she said. People are scared, he nodded. That's why I came. He placed a small data chip on the table. What is this, she asked. Records, he said. Every outcome, every result of human-style aid. Across dozens of stations. Why give this to me? Because they won't listen to me anymore, he said. But they might listen to you, her breath caught. They see you as the symbol, he continued. The proof, the risk. I am just a mother, she said. He smiled gently. So was every revolution. She laughed softly, then covered her mouth. I don't want a revolution, she said. Neither do I, Carter replied. I want a future. The council announced a full station assembly, mandatory attendance. That had not happened in decades. The central concourse filled with beings of every kind. Platforms rose, screens activated. The lead counselor appeared. Helios 9 is unstable, it declared. Aid abuse has weakened discipline, murmurs spread. We will restore order. Fear moved through the crowd. Lyra felt Myra squeeze her hand. Then the counselor said the words Lyra feared most. Unauthorized residents will be removed. Crying broke out. Lyra stepped forward before she could stop herself. I speak, she said loudly. Gasps followed. The counselor hesitated. You are not. I speak, she repeated. Silence fell. She climbed onto the lower platform. Her legs shook, but her voice held. I came here starving, she said. I offered myself to save my child. The crowd stirred. A human gave us food, she continued. Not ownership, not debt. She lifted the data chip. This is the result, she said. Health improved, crime reduced, trade increased. The council interrupted. Data can lie. Children don't, Lyra said. She gestured. Myra stepped forward, small, strong, alive. My daughter is alive, Lyra said. Because fear lost once. The crowd murmured louder. You call this instability, Lyra continued, but I call it trust. The counselor's voice hardened. Trust does not maintain stations. Lyra met its gaze. Fear doesn't either, she said. It only delays collapse. A human voice rang out. She's right. Another. We've seen it work. An alien trader stepped forward. I made more profit when workers weren't desperate. A medic followed. Recovery rates improved. One by one, voices joined. The counselor backed away slightly. Control was slipping. Carter watched from the edge. He did not speak. He did not need to. Lyra finished. You can remove us, she said, but you cannot remove the idea. Silence followed, then applause, not loud at first, then stronger, then unstoppable. The council retreated. That night, Helios 9 did not sleep. Shelter doors stayed open. Food was shared. Fear lost ground. Carter stood beside Lyra as they watched Myra play with other children. You did it, he said. We did, Lyra replied. He nodded. Across the station, data streams sent one message outward. Humanity does not conquer, it convinces, and the galaxy was listening.